Qualcomm and MediaTek have reportedly paid TSMC up to 24% more for their latest Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 and Dimensity 9500 chipsets due to increased wafer prices. And this shocking revelation comes right as the week begins when both flagship processors are set to be officially announced, stirring debates not just about performance and efficiency, but also about how much these cutting-edge SoCs truly cost to make, and what that means for consumers who will eventually purchase smartphones powered by them. Because while specifications and performance numbers often dominate headlines, price hikes like this ripple down the supply chain and eventually hit end users in their wallets. So let's break it all down in detail, because this story combines technology, economics, and industry strategy in a way that impacts nearly everyone who cares about the future of smartphones, tablets, and even AI-driven mobile computing. According to reports, TSMC did not provide any discounts to leverage its new 3nm N3P process technology, despite this being a next-generation node, and while it offers modest improvements, around 5% higher performance at the same power consumption, and between 5 to 10% better energy efficiency at the same frequency, it appears these small gains come at a steep financial premium, with both Qualcomm and MediaTek forced to pay higher sums to manufacture their SoCs on this process, which naturally raises eyebrows about whether the performance-to-cost ratio is justified. MediaTek is said to have paid the most, facing up to a 24% higher cost, while Qualcomm paid around 16% more, and although the report doesn't specify if this percentage is compared directly to their immediate predecessors, which would be the Snapdragon 8 Elite and Dimensity 9400, the increase is still massive, highlighting the intense financial burden companies must bear to stay at the bleeding edge of semiconductor technology. Apple's name was also mentioned in the same report, tied to its upcoming A19 and A19 Pro chips, but no clear figures or percentages were disclosed, though insiders suggest that Apple may have absorbed similar increases quietly, especially since it tends to secure priority supply from TSMC and is in a unique position because it only uses its chips in its own iPhones. While rivals like Qualcomm and MediaTek must supply their silicon to a wide range of smartphone partners, meaning Apple is somewhat shielded from the broader financial ripple effects that Qualcomm and MediaTek's customers will face. Industry sources claim that 3nm N3P wafer prices are about 20% higher than the already expensive 3nm N3E wafers, indicating that Apple may have also been subject to these increases, but unlike Qualcomm and MediaTek, it doesn't have to negotiate with partners or distribute costs across multiple OEMs, which makes its situation less complicated. While companies like Samsung, Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, and OnePlus, who rely heavily on Qualcomm and MediaTek, are the ones who may need to make tough decisions about pricing their upcoming flagships. And this brings us to the most concerning part. With Qualcomm and MediaTek facing up to a 24% increase in production costs, they are highly likely to pass those costs down to their partners, who will in turn pass them down to consumers, meaning higher prices for next-generation smartphones powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 and Dimensity 9500. And if you thought things couldn't get worse, the same report warns that TSMC's upcoming 2nm wafers are expected to be 50% more expensive than current 3nm wafers. And to make matters more complicated, Apple has reportedly already secured more than half of the initial 2nm production capacity, leaving Qualcomm and MediaTek with tighter supply, higher costs, and less flexibility, which again could lead to even more premium-priced devices in 2026 and beyond. From a consumer perspective, this is both fascinating and frustrating, because on one hand, we're getting more advanced chipsets with better efficiency, higher performance, AI optimizations, and better thermal management. But on the other hand, the prices of flagship phones may climb even higher, continuing the trend of ultra-premium devices surpassing $1,200 or even $1,500 at launch. And the question becomes, how much are users willing to pay for incremental improvements in speed and battery? Efficiency, especially when mid-range phones are also getting more powerful and more affordable every year. Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 will be in some of the world's most popular Android flagships, like the Galaxy S25 series, while MediaTek's Dimensity 9500 will push performance boundaries in devices from brands like Oppo, Vivo, and Xiaomi. So the fact that both companies had to pay such steep premiums indicates a broader challenge in the semiconductor industry. Shrinking transistors are harder and more expensive to manufacture. Yields can be lower, and the cost of R&D and advanced fabs like TSMC's 3 nanometers lines are astronomical, meaning consumers will almost inevitably bear the brunt of these costs, whether directly through higher device prices or indirectly through manufacturers cutting costs elsewhere, such as removing accessories from boxes or limiting base storage options. What's also interesting is the competitive landscape. Apple's ability to lock down early access to advanced nodes like 3 nanometers and 2 nanometers gives it a powerful advantage, allowing it to offer cutting-edge chips in iPhones, while competitors scramble with fewer wafers and higher costs. And this asymmetry could shape market dynamics for years to come, as Android brands may struggle to match Apple's efficiency and performance gains, while also dealing with shrinking margins. In the end, the news that Qualcomm and MediaTek had to pay up to 24% more for their flagship SoCs due to TSMC's wafer price hikes is not just about chip costs. It's a preview of the broader challenges facing the tech industry, where innovation comes with ever-increasing financial strain. And while we as consumers get exciting new features like more advanced AI processing, console-level graphics, and superior battery optimization, we're also paying the price, literally, as the semiconductor race heats up and companies push toward 2 nanometers and beyond. It's clear that the cost of progress is only going to rise. And the question remains, will consumers continue to pay more for each incremental leap? Or will this open the door for alternative players, more efficient architectures, or disruptive technologies to challenge the status quo? One thing is for certain. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 and Dimensity 9500 are going to be powerhouses, but they'll also be some of the most expensive SoCs ever produced, and that reality is reshaping the smartphone industry as we know it, and we'll be here to keep breaking it all down for you, only on TechVerse.